What is good, y'all? Welcome to Let's Cap. Got my boy Finesse the books, man. It's been a while, bro. Chris be capping. Chris will be with us shortly. He just had to take care of some business. But yeah, man, Finesse, man, it's been a while, bro. How you been?
I've been good, bro. Same old stuff. I'm excited. Let's Cap is back. We've been doing this for a while now. It's been kind of on and off, but I love when it's on, and I'm always happy to jump on and talk ball with you. And yeah, pretty okay slate, but like always, we'll find some value. And yeah, happy to be here, bro. I'm excited. Appreciate you having me.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I know. I know we don't always get on together, even even before. But I know you're a busy guy with Go Boys and all that stuff. You got a lot of stuff going on. Real quick before we hit the slate, can I just want you to you promote yourself a little bit because I know obviously you have a bigger following than me, but I know you're doing a lot of great work, man. Just not only NBA but UFC. I know you touch on other shit as well. So just real quick before we go on the slate, man. It's been a while since you've been on the show. I want you to give people the update on what's going on with Finesse.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not a real big plugger, but I'll just kind of let you guys know in general. I mean, yeah, you guys can always follow me on Twitter right here. I've been doing this professionally for about 2 years, and I've always maintained that the people that follow me here and the people that have been rocking with me, since I started, the free stuff is always gonna stay the same. So a bunch of free stuff, free content, on my Twitter and stuff. And yeah, I do UFC, NBA, NFL. When baseball comes back around, we'll be doing that. So
Yep.
yeah, just grinding, every single day, trying to get better every day. And yeah, so follow me here. You know what I'm saying? If you want the free stuff, you'll see all my premium stuff there too. So yeah, that's it. Same old stuff, different day. You know how it is.
Love it, love it. All right, let's get on to the slate here. Like I said, Chris will join us a little bit later, but first game up, the Nuggets and the Pacers. Finesse, I'll bring up my screen, but I know you rock with a lot of props and stuff like that. That's something that we miss on this show a lot, just because we don't dive into it as much as you do. I love your breakdowns when you do your props and stuff like that. But do you have anything on this game side, total or props?
Yeah, like you said, I'm way more into props than sides. Coincidentally, I
Mhm.
do have a game prop in this rather than a player prop. But just from a player prop side, I mean, I think there's a couple different things that like. I'm really close to getting onto Contavious Caldwell Pope under 9.5 points. And that's just a matchup thing, right? When KCP, a bunch of his volume comes from three, obviously, and from mid range. That's two places where the Pacers do a really, really good job defending, especially from three. They're the
Yeah,
top
yeah.
team actually defending threes right now. So when KCP doesn't have the threes going, it's tough for him to score points, obviously. So that's my biggest lean in terms of player prop. I do like Aaron Gordon as well. Just haven't figured out exactly how. Just rebounds, points of rebounds, just points. So I'll probably get to AG in one way or another. But that's it for player props. I do have a game prop that I can get into a little bit later, but that's just the
Mhm.
leans for now.
Yeah, one thing that I think about with that too, you know how like Bruce Brown obviously got traded, right? And people were probably gonna expect the defense to take a step back, but they actually I'm looking at this how they've been doing without Hallie and stuff like that. They're still playing solid defense. Like opponents going under their team total by a good margin, 5, 9 points here. It makes sense that they're I don't know. It seems like some guys step up. Do you think who is it on the Pacers side that's really playing some solid defense in the perimeter? Obviously since Brown is gone.
Yeah, I
Is it
mean, adding
uh,
Siakam in there is gonna, fuck some things up too, both offensively and defensively, right? Incorporating such a big piece like that can be tough. But yeah, I mean, like I said, they defended three really, really well, which is
mhm.
obviously, a big part. When you're not allowing threes, allowing teams to take tough twos, that's gonna be good for your defense. But yeah, tonight's really weird. Not only is it Halliburton, but Nemhard might be out, right? So that's a lot of playmaking and defensive wherewithal off the court. So we'll see how it goes. But yeah, I mean, I still don't love their defense. I just think they do a really good job, avoiding running teams off the three, which helps their defense a lot. But they can still be had in the paint, and hopefully Siakam coming in and getting acclimated helps with that. But yeah, we'll see.
Yeah, I love it. All right, so let's go. Let's look at some of these numbers here. Looking at last 5 games, Nuggets defense from three, 35.4%. Pacers struggling a little bit from three, but like you said, it's like that mid-range game where Pope really thrives, and that's where the Pacers can stop them there. It makes sense too. Like if they're gonna be able to make some threes, it's probably gonna be like KCP or someone else, right? Like that's gonna be able to get out there and get the shot opportunities. might be one of those games where he just doesn't get enough opportunities to score points. So from a trend perspective, I didn't really dive into this game at all. Uh, Chris is here joining us. Chris, did you have anything on this game? I didn't really have anything on this from a trend perspective at all.
Which game were you on?
This game, Pacers Nuggets.
Pacers Nuggets. Yeah, I played the under. From let's see. So from a trend perspective, Denver hasn't really been covered on the road. The number is, pretty short, even without Halliburton being rolled in. I got Denver just 8-15 against the spread on the road, but a lot of those games actually came without their starting five, right? I think that's one thing I always try to remember with Denver, because Jokic just missed, not really Jokic, but Jamal Murray's missed time early this season, so with Aaron Gordon as well. But when I looked at them specifically with all of their guys in, they're actually 9-4 straight up, still just 5-8 ATS on the road. But with all of those guys in, they're healthy. They're actually 9-4 to the under in those games. And I think looking at the spot for the Pacers is not the greatest spot. Them coming back home off that road trip. So I looked at one of the big things I looked at from a trend perspective, I see, was home dogs off a road trip of 6 games or more. And then they're also off a loss. Since 2019, those teams are 2-10 straight up, just 3-9 against the spread. So that says to back the Denver Nuggets in this spot. But also, like I said, I played the under 239.5. I looked at, for the Pacers, we have a super small sample size for Siakam being there, Halliburton not being there. Like, they just got a lot going on right now, and they actually came out and said it afterwards. They said it's going to take a little time for everything to gel. And I don't think we can have like super big expectations during that time. I know it's going to be his first game in Indiana for Siakam, but when you don't got Halliburton out there, I just think it's going to be a little bit slow pace of a game. So per cleaning the glass, it's only been 76 possessions so far for the Indiana Pacers, where Siakam has been on the floor and Tyrese Halliburton has been off the floor. The Pacers are minus 17.3 differential, and they're averaging just 103.9 points per game 103.9 points per 100 possessions. You look at Denver, they're playing at the third slowest pace in the league over the last 5 games. They're an extremely slow-paced team anyway. Pacers 6-3 to the under in home games without Halliburton, including 6-1 in their last 7. Denver 9-4 to the under, 69.2% in road games when all of those starters are in. And last thing I looked at was home dogs returning home off that 6-game road trip, like I kind of mentioned already. So if it's a 6-game road trip or longer and they're playing in a game that has a lower total than their previous total, because the total for the game that they played against Phoenix the other day was higher than this one, those teams are 14-3 to the under as well since 2016. That's 83.4%. So under 239.5. I just feel like Denver can win this game without necessarily, if they can kind of find a way to dictate pace. I know they should get a lot of easy shots at the rim just because that's where, the Pacers give up points. But the Pacers going to keep the game competitive. And I think they play a little bit slower as well. Also, we got to mention the other injuries, right? Halliburton, but also Nembhard. Nembhard is questionable as well with the spine injury. So if you get TJ McConnell, we know it's going to be a super slow-paced game because he's not, as far as scoring, like he doesn't do a lot of scoring. He's a facilitator. Yeah. He's a good player. But, yeah, so all of those things kind of, pointed me towards the under. I played the under 239.5.
Yeah, the market's agreeing with you, 237.5. That sounds like a solid play there. Also goes with Finesse's lean on the under points with Pope, probably a few other guys as well.
What Finesse like? Would you like Finesse?
So I leaned KCP under 9.5 points, and then AG over, points, rebounds, points. Just rebounds,
I like that look a lot. I think AG, he should have a really good game in this spot just because the Pacers struggle rebounding the ball and they struggle protecting the paint, and that's where Aaron Gordon thrives. Mm-hmm. So that makes a lot of sense. Also, couldn't talk anybody off. My favorite player prop in this game was Jokic. His points plus rebounds. I feel like I think the number was like 39.5, and he's over in 3 straight. But I think more so than just looking at the last couple of games, I think he's really been inspired by losing that coach for Golden State. That was like one of the guys. I was listening to something this morning. They were saying like he was the guy who actually helped Jokic get in shape. Like he was the one who told him like you got to change your diet if you really want to be you want to be great. So we've seen really inspiring basketball from Jokic over the last couple games since his death. Coach Mike Malone credited Jokic's performance against Boston as well as being just honoring the legacy of the coach. So Pacers allowing the most points in the paint and in short mid range as well. That's Jokic's primary scoring spots on the floor. So even if he misses, he should be able to get a lot of rebounds, a lot of tip-ins as well. And we know that those role players, like Finesse kind of mentioned, they typically take a step back in these spots. So I think it just leads to more Jokic greatness in this one.
I like it. All right, so leaning towards the under and some player props there from Finesse as well. Let's move on to the next game here. We got the Knicks and the Nets. This is one that I
got one more looking at Denver game if you don't mind.
Oh yeah, go ahead, bro.
Yeah, it's my only official play for right now. So
yeah,
I like Denver first half. I got it at -1.5. I don't mind the -2.5. I think they win first half by like 5+. Last 10 games for both teams, Denver second in first half offensive rating. Pacers just 16th. Both teams kind of bottom of the pack in terms of defense rating in the first half, but Denver's still better than the Pacers there. In that span, Denver scoring more points, allowing less points, turning the ball over a lot less, which is critical, obviously, in the first half, and taking and making more free throws. Denver's just 6-4 against the spread last 10 first halves on the road, while the Pacers are just 2-8 against the spread last 10 first halves at home. Obviously, no Halliburton. While Denver is likely to be pretty healthy for this game, I expect them to match up really, really well with the Pacers. They do a great job limiting attempts from three, limited fast break points, which I think Chris talked about. Pacers love to, run and push the pace. Obviously, without Halliburton, that's going to slow down a little bit. And Denver's top half of the league in terms of opponent points in the paint. And the Pacers are a top 10, paint team in terms of scoring. Chris also mentioned this, Pacers coming off a long 6-game road trip where, kind of spot you want to fade a team, that comfortable spot, right? Parent-teacher conferences, got to walk the dogs, right? Got to tuck your kids in, all of that. We talk about that all the time. Last time the Pacers were in this spot, they got absolutely clapped by the Clippers. We're down 11 points at half. So, Denver is the overall more rested team as well. So this line is really funky, right? Denver only, -4.5, -5 with no Halliburton. So I think if this game gets interesting, it's a little bit later in the game. So I'll take the -1.5. Don't mind the -2.5 in the first half. Like I said, I think they win the first half by 5+.
Yeah, that's interesting that you brought that up because while I think this is the trend that Chris brought up, or very similar to it, but I just added the dog in here, but it kind of goes it aligns with your first half play Finesse. They kind of take advantage of that first half just because of them being on the road, right? They gotta take some time to get their legs under them, and they probably just suffer through the jet lag initially, and then they start to show up in the second half a little bit, but they still, the margin is just less than the first half, so it does make sense that the first half might be the better way to go there. All right, let's go on to the next one there. What'd you say it was -2?
I got -1.5. -2.5 is the more
okay.
widely available one, so I'll just give that out. -2.5.
Gotcha. All right, let's move on to the next one here. The Knicks and the Nets here. This one was interesting to me. It did look like I was talking to Chris a little bit earlier about it, but it did look like it was sort of a trappy type line here for the Knicks. But I still ended up taking it. A couple things that I like for the Knicks side and also to the under. We look at the Knicks as road favorites against conference opponents. They've been actually taking advantage of that situation there this season. 6-1 straight up, 5-2 to the under. This is the only instance where it was after the OG trade, and they got it done pretty easily, especially to the under there. We know from since the trade, let's just do date month equals 1. So in January, we know the Knicks are playing some solid defense. They've only allowed one team to go up and over their team total, which was the Mavs in the non-conference road game. Everyone else, they've really been able to stop all of them. And then the other thing to mention here from the Nets side, if we look at the Nets, and we go home dog and conference game, it's sort of the opposite of what we saw with the Knicks. They're 0-7 straight up in this spot here. The line is pretty much short enough to say, well, they kind of got to win this one, just win this one, not have to win by super large margin here. I think this is a situation where the Knicks get the win, and also if it comes down to free throws, you got guys that they can trust to hit those free throws. Another thing to mention too, if we go to the Nets, in general. Oops. They're coming from LA. This is 3 straight road games in the West Coast, coming from LA, going all the way to New York, and they're the less rested team. This is a sort of a fatigue spot that I could see here. Normally, what we talk about is what first game going cross country. It's the second game that you hit the jet lag. But normally, what we've seen so far is going from east to west, not west to east. And that's one thing that I see here, that the Nets are probably going to struggle offensively. My problem is, this is a situation where the Knicks can win by double digits, or the Nets just win outright for some reason. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think it's going to be a close game. If the Knicks win, I think it's going to be an under game, and they're going to win by margin as well. I know the Knicks have been one of the best defensive 3-point teams. I think they're allowing just 31 or 32% from three since they picked up OG. And the Nets are, a majority of their points come from the 3-point line, 36%. I think that's third in the league as far as percentage of points from three. So if they limit those guys from the 3-point line, I think it's going to be a tough day for the Nets. So I went with the Knicks and the under in this one. I probably could have pivoted and looked towards the team total under, but yeah, I just went. I know it's sort of a square play, but that's the numbers. The numbers are what I was looking at, and that's what I like. So, what are you guys' thoughts on this one? Finesse, let's go to you first.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have any officials right now. The Nets over the last 10 games, 26 in defensive efficiency, guarding the three. So, I made a lot of money of DiVincenzo this year, but his 2.5 line is way too juiced. I'm not in the business of paying, minus 150, minus 160. But, if you want to throw that in somewhere or take his 4+ threes at some nice plus money, I don't mind that. I was debating taking the Knicks first half, but like you said, I think it's more of a fatigue spot that you see, in the second half, right? If the Knicks win this game, I think they kind of pull away later this game goes. The Nets are absolute fade for me right now, but like the first game, this line absolutely stinks. Nets, Knicks minus 4.5 against a Nets team that very publicly just blew a crazy ass lead on TV to the Clippers. So, it just stinks. So I'm not really interested in too much, nothing official, and lean Knicks first half. A slight lean, but not nearly enough to play anything for me right now. So
nice. All right, Chris, anything on this one?
Nah, I mean, you made a lot of great points, honestly, for the under, for the Nets team total under. The one thing that is, pretty interesting that we kind of talked about, and I think worth noting, is that Isaiah Hartenstein is listed as doubtful in this game, which means that they could potentially be without Hartenstein. And I've always liked Hartenstein. I just never thought that he was as good as he's been playing. Like, this dude's actually a baller. Like, he actually came in and been hooping for them offensively and defensively. I was trying to find his impact, the impact that Hartenstein has on the floor for the Knicks, because I still kind of think that this game goes under. The problem is that Brooklyn is actually one of the better rebounding teams, and that's where the Knicks actually stand out. We know that they've been one of the better rebounding teams for the last couple of years. If you're going to play for Thibodeau, you're going to be able to rebound the basketball, and you're going to be able to play defense, or you're just going to come sit on the pond like your name's Evan Fournier. So with all that said, I just don't know how much Hartenstein means to the equation. But I think, like you said, RC, public plays cash all the time. And, why, like, you could just ask a child that, watch Sports Center, then they picking the Knicks in this spot as well. So I still kind of lean with the Knicks, but I couldn't get there on anything. I think Finesse made a great point in saying that, that kind of backs the numbers as well. If you want Brooklyn, I kind of feel like it's the opposite of what we just talked about. I kind of feel like you want Brooklyn early, because the thing that helps Brooklyn, they're such a 3-point variance team, right? We see them hit a bunch of threes and they get out to pretty big leads. But the Knicks have been like hawking teams down. I want to say they're like a plus 67 in the second half of the last couple games. So they can start slow, right? I think they can start slow, especially if you don't have Hartenstein out there. If you go in and just look at the Knicks in the month of January, like you were just looking at, RC, they don't really have they have like a +1 margin in the first half. But if you look at the second half, they actually won in the third quarter. I'm sorry, the Nets have only a +1 in the first quarter, in the first half. But in the fourth quarter specifically, they only averaging 24 points per game and losing by 5 points. Conversely, if you look at the Knicks in the same exact spot, they're actually starting the games not too bad. They win in the second quarter, but the first quarter is about even. In the third quarter and the fourth quarter, though, you see very, very big margin. They're only giving up 47 points per game in the second half of the game. So, like Finesse said, I think if I'm playing this game, if the Nets are if the Nets are for some reason winning or the Knicks don't cover the first half, I'll probably take the Knicks live or take a live team total under for the Nets because I don't really play Knicks games too much. They make my anxiety go up and my blood pressure increase.
Real quick, it's actually about a trend here. Our divisional dogs since 2020, line within 5, and they lost 5 of the last 6 games. 38, 14, and 3 for the home team. So that kind of points towards the Nets here. Obviously not good to go against that, but I was looking at specific situations, right? Home dog and off a 3-game road trip, because we know that's a situation that we tend to fade, right? First home game off a 3-game road trip. So I added that. It does point towards the under, 4-0-1 to the under since that time, but still pointing towards the Nets here. To me, it's just recent form and the fact that they've been traveling. Hopefully it goes against this trend, but we'll see what happens. It does help out the under, but conflicting with the spread there.
RC, real quick before you keep going, can we go back a little bit? Like, can we go back in years? I'm trying to see how strong the under trend is in case I want to take this Nets team total under.
To this one?
Yeah, that just changed the year. Like if we just go season.
Yeah, I got you. It goes back. Let's go.
So, okay, there we go. All right, that's what I was looking for.
Yeah, it looks like it's more for the road team under. So
with the pace that both of these teams play at RC and the 3-point variance of the Nets, I don't really care who would go under for it. OG Anunoby is a defense within himself. We got to listen to Tibbs. He said this man is a defense.
He's
what's that Nets team total?
107.5. I want to say last time I checked. Which I kind of feel like I was telling RC this earlier, Finesse. I kind of feel like the market's kind of caught up. I've been cashing. I know RC's been cashing on these team total unders for the market. Just kind of low too high. The Nets. I know you mentioned this, RC. They've only given up like what is it? One time out of their last 11 games and then 9-1 to the under in their last 10. They've only allowed like one opponent to go over their team total, but it do kind of feel like with that total dropping now, the Nets already play so slow and I don't know. I couldn't quite get it, but it's a strong lean for sure.
All right. We dove into that one real quick. People are talking about the Rozier trade. Also, Griffin getting fired for the Bucks as well. Real quick before we move on to
Adrian Griffin got fired.
Yeah, that's what it sounds like.
I didn't even see that.
Yeah, it sounds like Griffin.
It happened 10 minutes ago since we've been on the show.
Yeah,
I knew. And listen, real quick. Let me say one sentence real quick on Adrian Griffin. I still got this. I still got this bookmark on Twitter. When they played against Halliburton, the most recent game, and Halliburton had 30 points and like 14 assists, and he had a post-game interview, and he said, "I thought we did a pretty good job." I said, "Oh no, he probably not gonna last. No way he gonna last." I said it, and that's why I bookmarked it. I gotta go make a tweet. All right, I just wanted to make sure I said that real quick.
That's wild, though. That's crazy.
Yeah, it's interesting because you would expect him to be more of a defensive-minded coach. It just didn't show up in the results, which is crazy to me. But you got Brook Lopez and you got Giannis, 2 of the best defenders in the league, right? Perennial like defensive player of the year candidates. Obviously you're missing Drew, but man, you can't get support from those guys.
But Dame is an absolute like traffic cone. Like there's.
So is Malik Beasley also for this, but I think he just lost.
I think he lost the room. Like real shit. Like I will cook Lillard, son.
I think he lost the room
on Lillard, bro.
You should go to Malik Beasley too, Finesse, because neither one of them guys can guard anybody. I think he lost the locker room though, Ronald. Like a lot of the times when Giannis was having those post interviews, he was saying like we need to be led better, we need to be coached better. He would just kind of throw it in, with everything else, So he was in a tough situation, but
that's hopefully maybe they turn things around because I was on Jay's show the other day, last week or so, and he was talking about how the Bucks are like the worst.
They are
like
absolutely.
He doesn't understand how their record is what it is. They're just kind of getting by, but We'll see what happens after
Here
this.
comes Doc Rivers now. Doc Rivers.
What's his name? Is Doc? Is it Doc?
It's probably gonna be Doc with the Bucks. That's my guess. And
When Rivers, man, I think he enjoys sitting over
in the
there.
first round.
Yeah.
I think he liking that Doris Burke seat over there, man.
Let's move on to the next one. We got the Jazz and the Pelicans here. I didn't have too much on this one, but I know a lot of people ride that Pelicans first half. They've been sort of trending in that way. But what are you guys' thoughts on this one?
Chris?
Go ahead, Vanessa.
Yeah, I mean, I like a couple of things. So I'm on marketing. I like over 2.5 threes at minus. I think it just got better. I think it's like minus 130 now. I like the 4+ threes at plus 200 too. 3+ threes for marketing in 11 of 16 games. 7 has last 8 road games, and the back-to-back games versus the Pels, which obviously we like. Volume, always the most important thing for me when I'm capping threes, and that's what I expect from Lowry tonight. He's taking 6+ threes in 15 of his last 20 games, so pretty safe floor in terms of attempts. He's taking 9+ threes in 7 of his last 8 games. 8 road games. I'm sorry. He's averaging nearly 2 more 3-point attempts and shooting better from 3 on the road this year. He's taking 9+ threes in back-to-back games versus the Pels. So again, great volume. If we meet somewhere in the middle of that, right, not the floor, not the ceiling, and just say we're expecting 7, attempts from Lowry. He's cashed 3+ threes in 17 of his last 22 games with 7+ threes. Lowry just seems like a smart player, right? Adapts his game to the matchup. We see this all the time. We see him work a lot more in the paint and on the block versus teams that stink and individual matchups, that he think he can take advantage of down low. This is not that type of matchup. New Orleans has elite defenders, elite length to combat Lowry down low, especially on drives and in the paint. New Orleans is allowing the 3rd fewest points in the paint allowed over the last 10 games. I expect the plan to be to try to get the shooters open, mainly marketing on off-ball, on-ball screens, off-ball sets, motion sets for marketing. We've seen marketing absolutely eat, when playing against teams that can't defend a 3, which goes back to kind of his high IQ. Teams that rank bottom 10 in 3-point percentage allowed last 10 games. Rockets, Lowry went 3 for 11 from 3. The Bucks, we just talked about the Bucks, 4-10 from 3 from Lowry. The Raptors, 4-6. Lowry went from 3. The Pistons, 4 of 8. You guys get the point. Definitely falls under a good matchup from 3 category. Last 10, New Orleans is 28th in 3-point attempts allowed, and are allowing the 3rd most threes for forwards. Pelicans also allowing the 3rd most catch and shoot 3-point attempts in the league so far this year. Pelicans also ranked 29th in defensive efficiency on above the break threes, which is where marketing loves to operate. So yeah, I think it's going to take 7, 8, 9 of them things. Hopefully he makes 3 of them. Hopefully it's a decent shooting night. But I'm okay to ladder up to 4 based on the volume. So 3+ threes, 4+ threes. Love marketing in this spot.
I like it. Man, he's dope. I think he's like one of the more underrated players in the league right now. But which is crazy because he's kind of like leading that team, and they've been under the radar for a while. Chris, what are your thoughts on this one?
Yeah, so I definitely agree with Finesse. I think that makes a lot of sense because Pelicans just don't give up a lot of points in the paint. So love that look by Finesse. This is a difficult game for me, I see. I think, just some thoughts. The Jazz, they started the season off, of course, extremely cold, especially on the road where you can kind of fade them on the road and then, back them at home. But since they had to play against the Pistons, and the Pistons could have potentially, ended their losing streak, and, they were on the second leg of a back-to-back. I don't know if you guys remember that or not. They looked like world beaters in that game against Detroit, and everybody had taken Detroit in that game. Detroit, of course, lost that game. They're 7-1 against the spread on the road in those games since then, and 5-3 straight up as well. I know the Pelicans are, and it's conflictual, right? Because the Pelicans are coming off a double-digit loss as a home favorite. They also rested, 3 days of rest. But the Jazz also rested. They got 2 days of rest as well after losing to Houston. So this is the 4th and final meeting of the season. The Jazz have actually covered each of the first 3 games, winning outright both of the first 2 in Utah. And then they did cover, although they didn't win the game about 3 weeks ago, that was played in New Orleans as well. All 3 of those games have actually gone under. So top play of this for me is the under. I think for a couple different reasons. So the Pelicans, I looked at them. 4-0 to the under as home favorites when the total is 235 or greater. So they don't play like fast, right? They typically play defense when they're playing against a very elite offensive team. Pels 18th in pace over the last 5 games, so they're not playing extremely fast. Also 3 days off of rest, 2 days off of rest. Those games typically you see a little bit more defense as well. You also, from an injury perspective, Chris Dunn is listed as questionable with an illness now. We know he's been starting at point guard and kind of orchestrating that offense a lot as well. I think that could impact the Utah's offensive flow here in this game as well. And then, as far as some trends I looked at, RC. So I looked at rested home favorites off a double-digit loss, and then they're home favorite again, right? So when I say rest, I mean like 2 days of rest or more. Home favorites off a double-digit loss, and then they're home favorites again, and they're expected to win by multiple possessions. So maybe the line is greater than or equal to less than or equal to 5. Those games are 19-7-1 to the under 73.1% since 2018 season. So I like the under in this spot. 239.5. I think it went all the way up to 240 on FanDuel as well. But yeah, I like the under. I think it's
what was that trend again? So home favorite coming off a loss by double digits as a home favorite.
So yeah, home favorite off a double digit loss as a home favorite. Rest is greater than or equal to 2. And they're expected to win by, let's use like 5 or more, I think is what I looked at. There we go.
To the under. Okay. That's dope. Yeah, I like it. Makes sense to me. It's a high total. It is a high total, especially for a Pelicans game. And you mentioned problem with that trend with the 235 or greater at home.
Yeah, 235 or higher than 4-0 to the under in that spot as well. Yeah. The problem though, RC, when I was looking at this game from a numbers perspective, is that both teams are actually top 6 offensively rated teams. New Orleans bottom 5 defensive rated, which is crazy to think, right? Jazz 16th defensive rated. Jazz been a better rebounding team. And also, put this one in real quick, RC. RC taught me this. Home favorites that are more rested. Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, home favorites that are more rested before and after the game. Look at that trend just for this season. Points to the Pelicans, but I don't think I'm going to quite get there with the side in this game. I think I'm going to just play the total.
Just this season?
Yes, just this season.
10-3 ATS. On the Pelicans side, look at that first half.
So they bounced back. And it kind of makes sense, right? I think I was on the Pelicans in that last game when they lost to the Suns. Me and you talked about that, RC. And, really was Devin Booker coming out there and just really lighting them boys up. There was nothing they could do about it. 25 points at the end of the first quarter. They cruised to that victory. I'm not sure if, it's a player on the team that's a skilled. Lauri Markkanen is great. I think we all agree with that. But I don't know if there's anybody that got that dog in them like, Devin Booker had. We know that the history that he has against his team as well. So I think that Pelicans first half is probably a really good look as well. I'm probably not playing it, but give me the under though for sure. I like the under.
Look at their opponent team total under too. In road games since December 21st, they've only went over one time. This was a push. They went over one time, but they actually went under in regulation. So yeah, both teams are playing solid defense. Makes sense that the under is the way to go there.
Yeah, I think I see. This one thing you taught me too was like you listening to Jay. Like sometimes you can't go by like what's going on like right now. You got to go by like the situational spot, right? Like
yeah.
So like even though the Pelicans defense has been pretty bad recently, it doesn't mean that they won't step up in this spot, especially with the rest days, right? It makes me think back to last night, right? Nobody really wanted to lay the points with the Sacramento Kings, but the Kings were super rested in that spot. And I gave out a trend that was like 80% yesterday. And lo and behold, the Kings hold Atlanta to 107 points in that spot. So I can see something like that, happen, especially with the way the Pelicans were embarrassed in their home loss the other day as well.
Yeah, I feel like it's the opposite. You remember, how like this season when at least one of the teams are on the second leg of back-to-back games, you get tired legs, they play less defense. one of the things that came to mind when you have the more rest before and after, they put 100% effort into this game on both sides of the ball. Mainly the defensive side of the ball, I think, is more effective. That's why the under makes a lot of sense in this one.
Yeah. So what you're saying is Pelicans trifecta and the under and the team total under all three.
Yeah,
You got 9 plays in this game.
I just wrote it down. Pelicans and the under too. I didn't even really look at this game, to be honest. I focused on 2 games, which was the Knicks Nets and then the Lakers Clippers.
That's why we do the show, my brother.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, so I like the Pelicans and under look. It makes sense. So, are we thinking Jazz team total under then? If we put that together, man, that's tough. But I don't know. We'll see. I didn't take anything on it, but I'm definitely leaning towards Pelicans and under. Any last comments on this one, Finesse?
2 things on Twitter right now, right? Giannis, quote unquote, lost faith in Adrian Griffin, which is what Chris said. And the Bucks are strongly considering your boy Doc Rivers to replace.
That's from the future. Hey, but that's from the future, bro.
Holy shit! What a terrible consideration. Oh my goodness. But yeah, nothing really.
Where else would they go though, right? Like if off the bat, like he's probably one of the first guys anyone would come up with, just because it's historically.
Jeff Van Gundy, Stan Van Gundy, Mark.
I mean, are they out there though, like saying that they want to go coach again though? You know what I mean? Like, I don't know, man. It makes sense, but it doesn't.
I'd let Giannis coach a team before I let Doc Rivers near my team.
Giannis' brother can coach the team.
I don't know about all that, bro.
That's a cheerleader. All right, let's go on Blazers and Thunder here. Initial look on this one. When I first saw it, I was looking towards the Blazers and the Thunder. One thing that I've always been tracking, Chris, I think I talked to you about this, but last 10 games, at least 8 games on the road, is that travel fatigue, and this is their first game home off a road trip as well. It's a big fade spot for me. Other than that, I didn't really have anything else. It's a line that makes sense, but also a spot that doesn't. I think to me this might be a spot where the Blazers kind of stick around. Thunder obviously probably going to win this game, but I don't know if I can put my money on the Blazers. Are you guys have any thoughts on this one? Vanessa, start with you here.
I mean, I'm trying to do a lot better of a job, taking blowouts more seriously, and even if I like some, more staying away, if anything. But I have a little builder. OKC double result, Clippers money line, and Simone Fontecchio off the Jazz, which we just talked about. The Jazz 1+ made 3. I think OKC double result is pretty self-explanatory. The Blazers are 1-9 straight up, last 10 in the first half, and they are 14-point favorites in terms of the full game. So that's pretty self-explanatory there. The better team all around. RC mentioned some spots. I hope it's not close. Me personally, I hope it's not. I don't want to sweat, but pretty self-explanatory. So is the Clippers money line. They're jumping up right now, moving close to double-digit favorites. No LeBron at home. That one is pretty self-explanatory. Simone Fontecchio, however the fuck you say it.
You got it right, Simone Fontecchio. You got it right.
Simone Fontecchio. So 1+3, that's pretty self-explanatory. 18 of his last 20. On the road, 19 straight, 1+3. So that one's pretty self-explanatory, just to reduce some juice. It's technically 4 legs on FanDuel because you got to do the half and then the full game money line, but -125 on FanDuel for those legs. So really, really like that. Not focusing on any props in this OKC game, just in case it's a blowout.
Yeah. So on Sunday, I was on the Lakers. We got that one. Looking at the Blazers as double-digit dogs. This is the reason why I stayed off of it, right? Because I really like that trend of fading teams with the travel fatigue. If you look at the Blazers, man, look at these last few double-digit lines: 29, 28, 62, 23, 62 to the. What the fuck, dude? I didn't realize that was 62 to the Blazers.
Yeah, I realized that. I was gonna talk about it when you let me go.
That shit's crazy. All right, yeah, Chris, go ahead. Let us know.
I was gonna say, besides the spot that you talked about, RC, which I've been taking into my handicap as well, which is that teams playing eight of their previous 10 games on the road. that being a fade spot for the Thunder in this spot being a sharp look. And then that's the only other thing, right? Whenever you lose by 60 as a grown man, Jay-Z said, I'm a man with pride. You don't do shit like that. You can't just come out and beat me just like that and then think we're gonna run it back and you do me just like that. No, I'm just kidding. But yeah, I so for those reasons, I kind of want to think that Chauncey gets these guys up to play. I also know that Aiden wasn't a part of that game either. Like I think getting Aiden back in, if you want to, kind of use that angle, they were extremely shorthanded that night as well. But with all being said, the Thunder are just they're like leap years better than this than this version of the Trailblazer team. I don't have a play in the game. I do think that the conflicting part for me, I want to get on the Thunder in the first half because that's when they really play really good basketball, typically in the first half. But them coming back home off that long road trip, they also coming off an outright win as a dog against the Thunder, against the Minnesota Timberwolves on Saturday night as well. So they have been motivated. They have, looked really well. They play consistent basketball, but I still would lean that they get smoked in this spot, honestly. Player prop wise, I see. And let me just say this real quick too, RC. And I'm curious for your thoughts and finesse thoughts as well. And I want to talk about a player prop. So when you're handicapping these games, right, and we get to this part of the season where we know already that this team is tanking, this team is, not really serious about playing basketball, and we see these big spreads, we typically get afraid of them, right? But a lot of the times, you just showed it, RC, a lot of the times these teams are losing by 20 plus. So we see a 13.5 and we're scared, right? Does that change like the way you handicap the game? Because it seems like we get so much more uncompetitive basketball like within the last 2 years. I think about the Pistons. I think about the Wizards this year. Do that change the way y'all handicap the games at all and like not make y'all as afraid to lay a big number? Or does it do anything for your handicapping process at all? Is it more likely to stay off the game? I'm just interested in your thoughts.
Go ahead. You go first, Finesse.
Yeah, I'm I fuck with player props a lot more now than I did. So I'm way more likely to stay off the game. But just in terms of, size, I just always go with the books. No, you know what I'm saying? So like the first couple of lines we talk about, today, in terms of the Knicks game and the Pacers game, those lines seem short. Those lines seem funky as hell. And in this spot with the Thunder, being 14-point favorites after smoking them by almost 70 points, that just tells me, the books know it's going to be another spot where it's at least going to be close to covering. So definitely changes my handicapping process. I think you have to. People are quick to complain after the blowout when it's a blowout about, it's a blowout. Fuck, my props are dead. But won't consider that before. Like you press the button knowing damn well you betting into a 16-point spread. So, I just think that's a part of learning. And, like I said, I'm trying to really, be a lot more careful. And even if I really, really like a spot, if I think it's going to be a blowout, I'm more likely to just stay away from a prop perspective.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's tough because there's different situations. I think every team is a little bit different too. You got to watch how they play because sometimes when teams are up by a big margin and they have depth on their squad, especially if that bench and that depth is more offensive minded than defensive minded, like for instance the Pelicans, they got guys like Hawkins, Marshall, and all those guys who don't even wait for if they're up by like 15, 20 points, they just keep going. They don't wait for the shot clock to run down and keep scoring. And that's why I like those types of teams when they're up to win by double digits or whatever it might be. But then there's other teams who tend to slow it down, right? They want to rest their guys, put their bench in early in the fourth quarter. And sometimes the opponents will take advantage of that. They'll come back and stay within 10. And that coach will keep those guys in there for a learning experience to kind of finish that game off. You know what I mean? So it just really depends on the team. But I don't know. It's a tough thing. I think you got to gauge it team by team, in my opinion. But one thing, so Itachi brought up another trend here. Double-digit home favorites off a 4-game road trip. 50-9 straight up, 40-19 ATS since 2018. This supports the Thunder, right? The other thing to mention here is if we look at this season specifically, after losing by 40 plus, where'd it go? And then they're double-digit dogs. No one has covered in that spot, and the Blazers have been there 2 times already. So this is an instance where the Thunder probably will take care of business. But the other thing too, so we looked at Itachi's trend here, 40-19 ATS. If we look at if that double-digit favorite is on the first leg of back-to-back games, you know they're gonna have to manage minutes for their starters. Who are they playing tomorrow? Actually, but they have to manage those minutes. So sometimes they probably kind of let off the gas pedal at the end, maybe, and that's why in recent years you've seen them fail to cover in that spot. But look at this over situation here. It could be one that where they know that they're going to be able to just outscore this Blazers team, not have to worry about defense, and just allow them to kind of stay in the game until the very end, put up points on the board. Maybe that over is the way to look on this one. What are your thoughts on the total, Finesse?
Yeah, I mean, not a big total guy, but I do lean that way too. Garbage time, if we're seeing guys out there that play no fucking defense and don't care about the shot clock, or they just want to put their shots up. You know what I'm saying? They want to take that 3 minutes and ball because they don't get to ball, at any other time. So, yeah, I mean, 233.5, I'm seeing it at. Yeah, I think the Thunder can easily put up, 125, 130 in this spot. So, yeah, if you're asking me to just take, Portland to score a little bit over 100 points, possibly, I definitely lean towards the over and the trends he just threw up there too.
Yeah. What do you think about that, Chris? Just real quick, thinking about the Thunder's bench, they seem more offensive minded, right? You got Isaiah Joe and those types of guys. And, I would think they put up points even if they're up by a good margin in that fourth quarter. Maybe layup Joe or Isaiah Joe goes out for threes. What are your thoughts on that total?
I think I lean more towards their team total to go over than the Blazers to actually contribute. The Blazers are god awful, and they're not playing against the Lakers team that can play defense sporadically. Like Coach Mark Daigneault got that team. Like they really play. They play hard every single possession. They turn you over. They get out and run. They share the ball. So I would. And you mentioned them having more depth. RC. I think I would lean more towards them. Portland was in the same situation. I remember watching. I think it was Ski and Rob Vino was talking about this game going over a couple weeks ago. RC. You know how many Portland scored in that spot? 77 points.
That's crazy.
And on the first leg of a back-to-back, man, I can't get there with Portland doing anything offensively. Going back to player prop real quick, RC, and because I can't, and it's perfectly aligned, I'm looking at Anthony Simons to go under on his assists. I'm not sure if I'm going to take this straight or I'm going to parlay it, but it's not too juice. The line is 4.5. And looking at Anthony Simons, I mean, this dude has not had 5 assists he's had it twice in the month. So he's like 2 for 10. And before that, he hadn't had it the 2 games before that either. And you look at San Antonio, you look at this Thunder team, they don't give up a lot of assists to the point guard position or the shooting guard position, as a matter of fact. And go through and look at his game log specifically against them. He has 1 career game out of 13 that he's actually had 5 assists. So Anthony Simons, this was something I was tracking in the last game. Anthony Simons to go under his assist prop, though. He actually cashed against the Lakers, and I was just a lean of mine. I didn't play it on Sunday. But this also correlates with the big spread, right? If they're getting blown out, you just sit Anthony Simons down, and you bring in Shaedon Sharpe, right? I mean, not Shaedon Sharpe because he's not going to play, but you bring in Scoop and let Scoop play point guard, right? So, if it's going to be a blowout, first leg of a back-to-back, high point spread, Anthony Simons under his assist, I think is a good look here. I see Finesse shaking his head.
If I could real quick, RC. So I love that, right? Obviously, Malcolm Brogdon has been inserted back into the starting lineup. He takes a lot of the playmaking duties. We're looking at just last 10 games, right? Even a guy like Scoot, which you expect, on paper, he's going to shoot more offensively minded. Last 10 games, Scoot's actually leading the team in potential assists at 9.4, then Brogdon at 8.6, and then Simons at 8.3, right? So if you're asking for a lot for Simons to get 5 assists. I mean, he'd have to. His adjusted assists are 5.3 over that time frame. Regular assists are 4.2. You got a lot of things going, right? Trailblazers suck, right? So they'll make less shots off of Simon's passes. You're going to get some really good defense and the Thunder defense, and the blow-up potential. So, yeah, I mean, 4.5 seems like a really, really good number. I like that. I hadn't seen that at all. I'm just looking this up right now, but that's a really good that's a really good spot. I might dabble, maybe take like an all under, look at that, maybe 5.5 under, pair that with something. But yeah, I might steal that shit from you. I'm just letting you know right now.
Hey, it's yours, man.
All right, so real quick.
Really good.
So you guys mentioned these guys here, Simon, Scoot, and Brogdon. So I looked at how they do on the road when all three are in the lineup. They're actually just 2-7 ATS in this spot. And if you look at their what they're giving up 123.7 per game, right? But if you look at the teams that went under, it's these slower paced teams, and then the Warriors, they've been struggling, especially early on in the season offensively. So if we look at a more offensive-minded team like the Thunder, you would think that they get up and over, right? Because look at these numbers here. Each one of these that did go over, they went over 123 at least. So I think it's 123.5 right now for the Thunder team total. That seems like they should be able to get that, right? I would say that would probably be the lean here.
Yeah, 123.5.
Yeah. I like that. Putting everything that we that we saw combined, right? Just being able to, the Thunder being able to cover this, the overlooks, it makes a lot of sense to me that this team total over. So I think we got one game left, right? The Lakers. Or any last comments for this one? Okay. All right. So real quick, Lakers, Clippers. LeBron's not in, right? I just want to confirm that LeBron's not in. One thing that I did look at was the Lakers here. And LeBron not in the lineup. 4-0 to the over, 1-3 ATS. They did cover the larger spread here. They didn't win, but they did cover. This is another large spread that they're seeing, 9.5. So it might be a similar situation where they do cover the spread, but lose the game. But the over seems like it's the right way to go here. If we look at the Clippers and we just say since December, let's just say 2023. Since December, 27, 14, 22, 19. Oh shit, that's 23. There you go. 9-4 straight up, 15-8 ATS. So they've been getting it done from a spread perspective, but we look at them as home favorites in the spot. 13-0. They haven't lost a game here. But look how much they're scoring, 123.7. I feel, and then if you look at the more recent games, they've been going over 4 straight here. To me, I think this seems like an over type game. I think the Clippers are going to be able to do what they need to do on their side to get up and over the total. And it seems like the Lakers, without LeBron, they pace up and their offense gets it done as well. So anything talking you guys off of the over in this spot? I know the total shifted a little bit from open 231.5 to 234 or 234.5. So what are you guys' thoughts on that total?
Chris?
I could honestly, I'm a tad bit conflicted. When I think about the Clippers, I think about them as a defensive team. But you make a lot of great points for the offense. The one thing I think would talk me on to the over, RC, is that without LeBron James in, I think the Clippers are going to view this game as one of those teams that suck, right? Like we kind of saw the other day against the Nets, right? So one of the things I've been tracking with the Clippers is how motivated they are in these specific spots. So if you look at the Clippers and their opponent win percentage is less than 45, you'll see that they don't necessarily cover in these spots. And they're about 9-9 overall, right? It's just like a flat spot for them, especially knowing LeBron's not going to be there. They're rested because they had 4 days off of rest, before they played the Nets. So they should be able to score, I think. It's going to be a bunch of 3-pointers from Paul George, from Kawhi Leonard. Lakers don't give up a lot of points in the paint because of Anthony Davis. But I do think the Lakers, they lead the top 3 in every, transitional offensive standpoint, right? They're going to try to get out, push the pace. D'Angelo Russell, Austin Reeves trying to, find those shooters. Just got Rui Hachimura back. So I couldn't talk you off the ORC, but I'm probably going to sit on the sideline this one. I do think that the Lakers can cover, though. I do think that 9.5 is a little too rich, or 10 or whatever it is. I think it's a little too rich just because the Clippers is double-digit favorites at home. I don't think that they have a high covering percentage in those home games as favorites.
Yeah, these larger numbers they're not covering. Looks like it seems like the trend is a little bit towards the over, but when you get to this specific point here, that weird range where it comes down to like free throws and stuff, it seems like it goes to the under. But those double digit lines, it seems towards like it's trending towards the over. They're giving up points in that spot. Look at going over the team total in a lot of those situations. So I don't know. I took the over 234, but we'll see what happens. I know the market agrees, but the market is not always correct. Finesse, anything on your side?
No, I just have the Clippers in that Clippers money line in that builder, and this is the late game, so I haven't really dug too deep into it.
Yeah.
But yeah, interesting game, but I think the Clips win this game at home. So just Clips money line in the builder, and I'll take a look, and see if I like anything else a little bit later on.
All right. Okay. So rested at home with a high total 230, more than 230, 4-0 to the over. Hopefully we get there. All right. Well, not too much on that game. It is the late game, so a lot of people got more time to cap that on their own. But we did break down a lot of stuff here, guys. Real quick, let me just take the screen off here. We did break down a lot of things, so it's that time, dude. Best bets, if possible, or top looks from today's show, or whatever it might be that you guys want to drop. Let us know. Let's start with you, Chris. Top looks, last comments that you want to give out to the followers, to the viewers.
Yeah. So going back to the Nuggets and the Pacers, like I said, I really like the under in that spot. I played the under 239.5 is what I played, minus 112 on Unibet. I gave out a lot of good reasons for why, but I just think it's a much slower paced game. Denver can win games with their defense. They don't necessarily have to score. And I think it's going to be a big adjustment period, I think, for for Indiana, even though they are back home. First game off, 6-game road trip as well, typically a flat spot. So give me the under there. Also, strong lean, like I said, to Jokic. I just not playing a lot of player props because they've been volatile to me. So Jokic over his 39.5 points plus rebounds should be a dominating spot for him. And then Pelicans and Jazz, I'll get that one out as well. Under 239.5 is what I took there. And it's really just, backing those home favorites that lost as double digits as home favorites as well. We know the Pelicans had 3 days of rest. Coach Willie Green probably got into him. They do respect him, and he hasn't lost the locker room like Adrian Griffin. So I do think that the Pelicans come out there and play defense, slow that Jazz offense down and get back to, that really good defense that we know. So give me those three as my favorite looks for today.
All right, Finesse, what you got?
Nuggets first half minus 1.5. Also okay with the minus 2.5. Lauri Markkanen 3+3s and 4+3s at plus 220. Plus 200. A little bit of an NBA builder. Thunder double result. Clippers money line. Simone Fontecchio 1+3. And that Simon's under assist. That shit, I don't know. It's just like it is burning my heart right here. I don't know. So I might have to play it or look for like or under or something like that. I really like that. Right, blowout potential. You want to look for unders, more unders, less overs. So I really like that. Might get to it. And biggest lean probably KCP under 9.5 points.
All right. So we talked about all the games. I did take the Knicks and the under last night. I also took the Thunder, or sorry, not the Thunder, but the Lakers game over this morning as well. But one thing that I do really want to look towards adding is that Thunder team total over. I think we broke down that game pretty well, and a lot of things pointed in that direction for the Thunder to get over the team total. What is it now?
123.5.
123.5, yeah. So 123.5. So that's one game that I'll probably add after the show here. But I liked a lot of the things that we talked about. Hopefully the viewers learned some stuff. Finesse, man, appreciate you coming on. Chris, you as well, as always. Next show will probably be on Thursday, I believe. But man, like I always say on these shows, man, it's all up to you guys. We give you guys the information, but it's on you guys to make that call. You guys are hitting that submit button when you are placing your bet. So whether you fade us or follow us, good luck with all your actions. Till next time, peace.